Okay, just about ready to start. Hey, Reed, you gonna join me, Reed? Get the link. Hold on a second. Pasting the link in for anybody who wants to join. Did you draw that emote yourself, Reed? The little baby Grogu. And, been a few days since the two movies came out. Christmas Day for both of them, I believe. Talking about Soul and Wonder Woman 1984. If you haven't watched either one of the movies, this might not be a stream you want to hang out with, because I'll probably spoil parts of both of them. It's interesting because I don't think I'm the target market, the target audience for either one of these movies. I enjoyed them. I enjoyed Soul more than I did Wonder Woman 84. They made some. The story writers made some weird choices, in my opinion. Right, Reed may be coming in later. He's driving home right now. But yeah, it's which one you want to? Which one you want to start off with, Reed? Reed fell asleep in one of them. Yeah, I'm not sure. Some of the choices they made. Just Reed brought up one of them. But being a comic nerd, I enjoy just seeing my character brought to life on the screen. So, I mean, I still like Wonder Woman, even though it's got flaws. Pretty serious flaws, but still enjoyable. And there's still some great visuals. Again, being a comic guy, I enjoy seeing the character brought to life. If you watch the first Wonder Woman, you know the No Man's Land scene was very iconic. And this one really didn't have those same kind of powerful, iconic scenes, but I don't think it needed them either. There were still some nice scenes, like the scene where they're chasing Maxwell Lord in the Middle East. Visually stunning, ethically problematic, but visually stunning. I don't have I'm not a professional podcast, but I don't have an agenda laid out other than talking about music. Okay, so let's see. They brought back Steve Trevor for Wonder Woman 1984, which that in and of itself I don't have a huge problem with, because she's a magical character and it's magic that brings him back. But the way they brought him back was weird as hell, especially when you're dealing with magic that can presumably do anything. I mean, it's creating nuclear missiles out of thin air later on in the movie. But the way it brings Steve Trevor back is by having him inhabit some stranger's body, which is just all kinds of creepy when you start thinking about it, And granted, in her mind, she sees her Steve, but to the rest of the world and in reality, he looks like he is a stranger. Yeah, and they don't really explain, where this guy came from, whether he was an existing person or whether they just brought Steve back looking like somebody else. But there's a scene later on in the movie after Steve was no longer in the Jet's body that you see the guy, so you assume that he was a person before Steve was wearing him as a meat suit. So this is what I mean by they made some weird choices in there. I really don't know what they were thinking. If you're dealing with magic that can do anything anyway, why bring him back like that? Why not just bring him back in total? It's not, granted, okay, somebody might have recognized him. Is that what they're trying to say? But it's been 40 years at this point since he died. So that's not going to be the first thing people think of, I don't think. And I wouldn't think he was that well known to begin with. So it's just weird that they made this choice. So she's, sleeping with this rando that Steve's wearing as a meat suit. That's a very comic book thing to do, but when you start bringing it into the real world, it's just strange. And they didn't have to do it that way. They decided to do it that way. They wrote the story. They could have written it however they wanted. So I can't help but wonder why they didn't just go, they're dealing with magic. Why not just say it was magic? Bring Steve back as Steve, and not some guy that Steve's wearing. Am I overthinking it? Poor writing? Yeah. So that was one of the first things, you have to, well, I had to kind of, they show Chris Pine for most of the movie, so you don't think about it too hard, but anytime you do think about it, it's like, oh, that's just weird. And then, these movies you can't watch these movies with your adult brain sometimes, Same thing with some of the Marvel movies. I love the Marvel movies, but, like if you watch Ant-Man and know anything about physics, there's some serious issues. Shoot. It's there's been other scenes in movies where my adult brain just can't let go of stuff. So there's a part in the movie where they hijack a jet from the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum, and I can tell you right now that it's the same problem I had when I watched Battleship, the movie. They mothball these vessels. In Battleship was the USS Missouri, and Wonder Woman 84, it's a jet. They don't keep these things in operational order. They don't keep them fueled up. You can't just slide them up and go. And I don't care if you have the experience or not. They're not kept in the warehouse ready to fly. So, and then you get past that hurdle. Let's say, okay, fine. For some reason, the Smithsonian's got this jet ready to go, and it's got fuel. Okay, they fly the jet from D.C. to Egypt and back, presumably, because they don't show them refueling. And again, even if it was fully fueled, it's not making that trip, and certainly not making that trip round trip. So there were some weird decisions in the movie that just make it hard to get past it. I know I'm talking about Wonder Woman, I'm painting Joe from Soul, but we're going to talk about both. I'm right-handed, so I have to start on the left so I don't smear across myself. Somebody else watching. If you have a comment on Wonder Woman or Soul, go ahead and drop it in. We'll talk about it. Spoiler warning is in effect. So if you haven't watched either one of the movies, go watch them and then come back. I might still be streaming it in a couple hours. I don't know. It depends on how much energy I have. They usually go for about 2 or 3 hours. Reed, who's in the chat right now, is on his way home. We'll talk to him later. Reed says, like lots of good movies that do well in the first movie, then too many hands putting salt in the pot. I don't know about that because, well, I'm sure there's some corporate oversight, but the first Wonder Woman, we're still talking about Wonder Woman, right? Patty Jenkins was, I don't know that they trusted Patty Jenkins. She was hired cheap. She hadn't had any real big billing. And I think, what's his name? Zack Snyder. I think he had his hands pretty heavily in the first Wonder Woman movie. Anybody watched that third act of Wonder Woman, the first one? That was all Zack. It had to be. That didn't work out. The overused CGI and weird pacing. That looked like it had Zack Snyder written all over it. So I don't know that they. Well, I guess you might be right. I mean, they did kind of let Zack Snyder go and come back between then and its release. Although he's been brought back again, but that was after the movie was done. All that caught up. Yeah. And then he mentions he can fly a modern jet, right? He hasn't flown in 40 years. The last plane he flew was probably a biplane, like a softwood camel, and he can hop into a jet and understand what all the controls are. I mean, obviously the principles of flight haven't changed much as far as lift and airspeed and drag and all that, but I'm certain the cockpit controls are different than they were on the old biplane. So yeah, you really have to turn off your adult brain for Wonder Woman. And once you do that, and you just you fall into the action stuff. Well, that's another thing. There's not as much action. At least it doesn't feel like it. And here's another interesting choice, right? So she's in 1984, and presumably she doesn't want to reveal our identity. So she's knocking out security cameras and stuff like that, and just saving people and running away so they can't see who it was, and using her lasso. It felt it felt like they were trying to make a Spider-Man movie. She's like your friendly neighborhood Wonder Woman. Reed says she was okay with Steve taking over this random guy's body, and she jumps his bones when it's not really him. And she's all about truth in the comics. Yeah, that's it's so weird because, like I said, it didn't have to be that way. They could have made the movie. They could have brought him back however they wanted. They made the choice to have him do a Freaky Friday in some random stranger's body. The power to turn things invisible, Reed is saying. I'm fine with that, but it becomes weird when you think about it again because, like, okay, she's been toying with this for 60 years, and she just now decides she's going to give it a real go after one previous attempt with a coffee cup. Okay, sure. And let's see, what are some of the other? Maybe we look at some of the good stuff. Kristen Wiig. I did like Kristen Wiig as Cheetah, although her initial introduction when she's Barbara Minerva at the museum, the Smithsonian, where they all work. And she's newly hired anthropologist, I guess, or archaeologist. Is she an archaeologist or an anthropologist? Reed, do you remember? I'm going to say archaeology, I guess. Well, Reed saying, how did she find the plane? I'm assuming the plane is bigger, so it's easier to bump into. Steve, remember where he parked it, that kind of thing. Try not to think about it too hard. I use the same blue for the background on her. I'll let this one dry a bit before I try to go and do something about it. Let's see. She had multiple. She had multiple majors and was a doctor. Oh yeah, because Kristen Wiig had multiple majors. But I think she was hired as a museum's uh, archaeologist because she's looking at artifacts, right? They gave her the artifacts to look at, so that would be archaeology. Whereas anthropology would be if they gave her the bones to look at, right? It's a, which is weird because that's the second movie this week I watched where an archaeologist was one of the primary characters. So I watched Lupin the First, Lupin the Third, the First, and one of the characters in that's an archaeologist also. But anyway, as I was saying, old and easily distracted, like Doug from Up. Uh, Flying thing was interesting. Yeah, the flying thing was. I mean, canonically, she flies in the comics. Just surprised it took them this long to get her there. Uh, it's kind of weird how she like still lassos clouds or lightning or whatever, and then flings herself and then flies and then lassos something else and flings herself and flies some more. Um, as far as giving off the Superman vibe, um, I think that was intentional. I mean, I think Patty Jenkins was a big fan. Oh, and Jeff Johns, who wrote part of the script, the screenplay, is a big original '70s Superman. What's his name? Donner, the Donner of Superman. Um, so kind of seeing that Superman influence wasn't a big surprise, and I'm actually fine with that feel. I like a feel good superhero movie. That's why I like Shazam. I didn't care for the Joker, which is like falling down with a clown. Let's see, catch up on the comments. What happened to the writing saying putting it in the head? What happened to the writing saying putting it on the head? I'm not sure what you mean by that. For that crystal. Oh, for the crystal. Um, the wishing stone. I mean, you're dealing in a world of superheroes and magic. I'm not too freaked out by the wishing stone. I mean, it is what it is. And, I mean, Diana herself is a magical creature who's, breathed into life by some god. It is what it is on that one. And the whole thing is revolving around like the Faustian deals, like, what does your wish cost you? saw some people misinterpreting it though, where they were thinking that Barbara's wish to be more like Diana is what stripped Diana of her powers. No, it's not. Barbara's cost was her gentle soul, I guess. Which, they didn't really build it well though. I mean, they had the one scene where she randomly fed the homeless guy, and that was her virtue. That you're supposed to see that's her virtue. And then later on, she's telling the homeless guy, stay out of her business. So, monkey's paw. Oh yeah, monkey's paws on it. Another Faustian bargain kind of thing. I think it almost would have been more interesting if the villain of the movie had been whoever the god was that imbued that stone. Jack that guy up or gal up for leaving this thing on Earth and destroying civilizations. All right. Now, like I said, I don't want to. I'm not here to just beat up on one of them. I did enjoy it. When you get over the weird choices they made, and you sit back and watch Wonder Woman flying around, and the old comic nerd in me still loves that stuff. Still likes seeing the character brought to life, even though some of the choices made in doing it may not resonate. Or they actually put the stone on the head of the altar or whatever and it came alive. Yeah, I mean something. Maxwell Lord, we haven't really talked about him much, but he, I like Pedro Pascal. If you don't know, he's the Mandalorian too. Although if you don't know that by now, you're living under a rock. Yeah, Pedro Pascal as Maxwell Lord. It's been a while since I've read anything or watched anything with Maxwell Lord. Um, but what I saw didn't look like any version of Maxwell Lord I'm familiar with, other than being rich. Uh, Maxwell Lord's kind of a Lex Luthor type character, from my memory. And so they had him as Maxwell Lord. It was a very '80s caricature of the greed is good kind of thing. So they nailed that aspect, which I assume is what they were going for. Greed is good '80s. Uh, but if you're a comic reader, like I said, it's hard to see a version of Maxwell Lord that you'd be familiar with in that character that David Pascal portrayed. Now, not to say that's bad. It's just when you have prior knowledge of a character or something or a story, then you go with your own baggage. That was a little bit of an issue for me. But I'm not a huge Maxwell Lord uh, buff, so I can kind of forgive that. I don't know about trying to make Maxwell Lord sympathetic with his. Was that his stepson? I don't know. See, there's this. He has a son. I don't know if it's a stepson or his biological son. I thought it was his stepson. Well, that's probably his son because he's got visitation rights, or he's got him every whatever weekend. We never see the kid's mom, so we don't know. The kid's looks Asian or Hapa, so uh, Pedro being Latin American, you know, don't know who the mom is. Let's see. You didn't have the feels they were going for at the end. Well, it's the ending was weird because everything's just back to normal after everybody uh, recants their wishes, or it just seems like everything's normal. So that means he goes back to being a shyster with no money. And it's like Reed says, it's like one act is not a double crime. He just came off as a douche. Yeah. Well, the douchiness of the character is Maxwell. Maxwell Lord in the comics is a douche. Okay. He is that. But the douchiness of the character, maybe it's the way they achieve the douchiness, though, making him the huckster. Reed says Cheetah had no feels to her, too. Yeah, I mean, I saw where they were going with Cheetah. And it's weird because the movie's 2.5 hours long, but some of the stories weren't fully realized. I don't think, because you could see the budding friendship with Minerva and Diana, and you could see Minerva's descent from being kind to the homeless people to tell them to fuck off and leave her alone, and you could see the snap in Minerva where she likes being strong and doesn't want to give it up. But there's not a lot fleshing out those beats. You get them. That's why I said I could see where the story was going, but it doesn't. They didn't fully realize it. Yeah, they could have told the movie without Steve. And one thing I've seen people complain about online is saying that bringing Steve back made kind of lessened Wonder Woman. I'm not so sure about that. Maybe the way they did it, but he could be the one that got away. That's fine. I'm not really too concerned about that. But the one that passed away, I guess, he got away. There's too much stuff in the file. That's who else is watching. What do you guys? But right now we're talking about Wonder Woman. For those of you just hopping in, what are you guys' thoughts on this? You can join me in the stream if you want. Here, I'll post the link in the stream notes again. And I know if you've been watching, it sounds like it's just doing nothing but bitching about Wonder Woman. It's like, I mean, I did enjoy it, but like I said earlier, I kind of had to turn off my adult brain, not think too hard about what's going on. Because when you do that, then it starts falling apart. And, I'm an old comic nerd. And comics, are ridiculous. I mean, I get it. And that's one of the things that, when you go from the kid stuff to the adult stuff, some stuff doesn't translate that well. Yeah. Oh, Reed. Yeah, this is another thing that people have pointed out too. Reed saying it's like any teen movie where you already turn the pretty girl into a magical Cinderella, right? Like she's all that. I heard somebody call it Cheetah's all that, right? Because how do they show that she's a strong, powerful woman? Well, she's sexy. She can walk in heels, and she doesn't even wear glasses anymore. Like, okay. That's not exactly the empowering message I think you think it is, but That's not my. I didn't make it. Yeah, you put a shooting glass on Superman, and no one can tell he's Superman. Right. That's another one that doesn't hold up as an adult, but you just let it go for the sake of the story. What about the ending stinger or the mid credit tease? Did you like that? I mean, that's obviously fan service, but I am a child of the '70s, so I did enjoy seeing Linda Carter show up as an Amazonian. Amazonian. She's not Wonder Woman, but she's an Amazonian. I forget what the name was. Um, the name of the character she played starts with an A, right? Asteria. Okay, so she plays Asteria in the present of 1984. Now, Asteria in the movie is the one that wore the gold armor in the legend. So, there's again, this another strange choice they made. I mean, well, it's a nice fan service to bring Linda Carter in for the stinger for the mid-credit scene. Then, then you had this convoluted issue of like, well, Diana was until up to this point the only Amazonian that came to the world of men, and now you find that a story has been here all along. Okay, odd choice. Astria, Asteria, Asteria, with an E, Asteria, Asteria. Yeah, just had weird choices all the way around. But like the action sequences in the mall was fun. Very much an '80s kind of like that would have fit in pretty well with the the original or the Batman '89 stuff. You know, it had that kind of feel to it. He looks like Gal's mom. Um, Gal Gadot in real life, not Wonder Woman's mom. Yeah, she could be. Yeah. We've seen. Yeah, both called. They're both models, including actors. Uh, you still driving home? They're safe. Don't be texting and driving too much. You're home. else do we want to talk about on Wonder Woman? I was a child of the 70s and 80s, so, but I didn't grow up in Washington, D.C. So apparently, like the mall that they recreated in the movie was pretty accurate for that. I don't know. It's not like, and I could see the 80s trappings, but it didn't necessarily feel like the 80s. See? He's asking, what did I get for Christmas? Um, uh, Comfortable clothes to lounge around. Maybe what I got. I'm not. My kids are all grown up, so I don't get into the holiday as much as I used to. I come over for presents and Christmas dinners. All right, let's talk about Soul a little bit, and you can hop around back and forth. Unless somebody else has something else they want to talk about on one. Like I said, for both these movies, I don't think I'm the target audience. Although I think I'm closer to the target audience for Soul than I am on. Uh, I really did enjoy Soul. The visual choices. Pixar is killing it on the visuals. Uh, that in the voice cast was really fun. I mean, I enjoyed Tina Fey as 22. Mine was like, who was the guy that played Joe? Same brother that played Django Unchained. Fox, something Fox. Jamie Fox. Jamie Fox. Good old folks. Jamie Fox was good as Bill Gardner. Some great stellar voice talent in there. I'm not necessarily a jazz guy, but I have jazz playing in my head right now since I'm doing soul stuff. Um, whereas I feel like Wonder Woman's made for young women, young girls. Uh, Soul is a is a black story. Although it's still a family feel good story too. But I said I'm not quite the target audience, although I am closer to Soul. I had obviously less issues with Soul than I did Wonder Woman. Soul is more like, you know, being a visual guy. I really like the way he handles some of the stuff visually. The stuff in the Beyond, the Great Beyond, with the counselors, they were all named Jerry or Terry. It's interesting how they just made things like uh, outlines. Okay, Reed will help keep me boring y'all now. All right. Howdy, Reed. Reed, you there?
Hey,
Okay. You ready to move on to Soul? Do you watch Soul, Reed?
no, I didn't watch it yet.
You watch it? Oh, okay. Well, get back to Wonder Woman then. I don't want to ruin Soul for you.
Eh,
What did you think of the design of Cheetah?
she looked like Chitara.
Thundercats?
Yeah, I didn't like the whole like cheetah print outfit slash stuff that she was wearing. I don't know what that was. Faux alligator or whatever. I don't know. Biker jacket. Uh, Even if it is 80s, man, it doesn't have to be like so cliche 80s.
No. I know my mom had, well, this was 70s, but my mom had the leopard skin jackets and stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, they could have went with, with like outfits that are were 80s, but not like cliche 80s, man. They had a lot of cliche 80s stuff, man.
Yeah, that was the shorthand. Like, see, we're in the 80s. See?
I mean, what happened to the corduroys, man?
That was, I mean, that seemed like that was the main reason behind Steve's outfit scene.
Yeah, I don't know. That was kind of strange too. The whole outfit thing.
But I mean, that's just to show, hey, this is the 80s. See, look at these outfits. 80s.
Yeah,
See?
but you could have done it with like t-shirts and you know at least they didn't go the whole like single glove on one hand or lace gloves like Madonna or you know rubber bracelets.
They did put them in the parachute pants and the zippers.
Yeah, but not quite. It wasn't to the point where it was in like the early 90s. I mean, there was no like where's the members only jacket?
Yeah, that would have been right about the right time.
Yeah, especially for like 84ish. A lot of that outfits were a little after 84. Like, a lot of it was like 86, 87 ish.
84 would have been my junior year in high school.
I mean, they did do like the whole like thriller jacket look, and they did go with the Miami Vice look, but I think that's more late 80s, huh? Like 86, 87.
Yeah, well, yeah.
There were no like aviator glasses and stuff like that that you know like they had in the early 80s. Aviator glasses, um, leather jackets, um, you know, members only jackets for guys. At least they had some like kind of like Duran Duran kind of like feel to some of it. Or
It's, it's weird seeing all these shows pandering to my age group.
I know it's kind of strange. It's like I hope Donovan gets to see it. It's his genre, right? 80s.
He's retro age, so
Well, it's the same thing. I think a lot of that stuff was retro 80s actually.
yeah, the imagined future 80s.
Well,
Nobu says Aroha.
mm, hello.
Nobu, do you have any thoughts on Wonder Woman or Soul? Like your comment.
I don't know. I think they could have stayed away from the. I guess if you're gonna go over the top, you're gonna go over the top.
Yeah.
They did have the sweater ish, for the women. Like the turtleneck kind of fluffy.
Nobu says he hasn't seen either one of them. We may give spoilers then. I don't know if you want to be here.
Yeah, the whole leotard thing too.
What about that?
No, at least they did that in the mall. Ankle socks or what is it, ankle warmers, whatever.
Yeah, the leg warmers.
At least they had those pantyhose. That would have been big in the 80s too, pantyhose.
Okay. Nobu says no worries. All right. I'll say we didn't warn you.
Uh, yeah, I don't know. I just thought there was a lot of stuff going on and some stuff could have been taken out. I don't know. I think I just feel like the first movie, at least he built the character, right? The second movie should have been her as a superhero and her ideology to make her who she is after she's spent how many decades, 30 or 40 years since then, instead of like not really having uh, like a lockdown story. I don't know. I just thought it was just like too much stuff going on. Yeah, yeah, it's too much. Oh, so what did you think about who came to the rescue? What Jedi came to the rescue? I know we were talking about it the last time you were on. That was
Did we talk about this already?
no, we were talking right before. We were supposed to watch it. Remember
Okay.
that it was that night. It was like, and I asked you guys what you guys thought.
All right. Reed is asking for spoilers on Mandalorian, so if you want to hear those, yeah,
I mean, it's been what a week.
I know.
If
I'm
you,
just
if
putting
you
it out there.
haven't if you haven't
I'm,
been on Facebook,
I'm kind of like Nobu. I don't care about spoilers, but I know a lot of people do. So if we're gonna do
yeah,
that, and I want to give people fair warning. Luke, Luke showing up as the Jedi in Mandalorian. Um, I get it, story wise. I just wish
it was
they
Ezra,
somebody else.
like Ezra.
Ezra would have been fine, or I would have been fine with the Jedi we'd never heard of before too. But I know they wanted to have some kind of impact for that last episode. Um, there's some
I,
ambiguity. They could have. Mace Windu was one of the options that people have
yeah,
thrown out.
that would have been cool. But I
Yeah,
think I
would have been.
think they ended it that way. Then they put him in as I know that there's some people like a lot of people were really happy to see it, but I know like some people thought it was just like complete fan service.
Oh,
But
it was definitely fan service, but
oh yeah, yeah, fan pandering. But the thing is, they messed up. I think it's because they messed up so badly from previous um, film and portrayals that they needed to correct, well, help correct the wrong, I guess, that they did to the character.
but here's the part. The thing is, I would rather see them expand the universe, not shrink it. For one,
Yeah,
and then the
true.
other the other thing is we know where Luke's story goes, and if they're tying onto that, then they have to explain how to get Grogu out of that story.
Well, they said that they're not making another. Mando Dinjarin himself is not returning next year. It's
No,
2022.
2022.
Yeah, so the Book of Boba is supposed to be, I guess, replacing or being a chapter in the Mandalorian. They're giving the time jump because they haven't written the script yet.
It's just another show. It's not part of the Mandalorian.
Yeah, so it's replacing it for next year.
I don't want to say it's replacing it because there is going to be another Mandalorian. It's just going to be 2 years
Oh
from
no,
now.
it's for next year. It's replacing it next year because it's supposed to come out in December, but it didn't come out. It's not going to come out in December. going to come out the following year. It's probably going to come out in December next, or what you call November, December.
I gotta let
The time jump. Yeah, it's a good place to the time jump thing.
I'm gonna let Joe drive it because I want to go wash and it's kind of darken his whole look overall.
Ezra
Look,
Bridger. I
that's
wouldn't have mind seeing Ezra Bridger.
yeah.
That would have been cool.
And
But
Ezra would have tied in with the whole Thrawn of it all.
yeah, it would have fell in with Thrawn because apparently this is pre end of the Rebels with Ahsoka because she doesn't have her white cape yet.
As far as the book of Boba Fett, I don't know. I can take it or leave it. I
Yeah,
was I think they gave Boba Fett his return, and I don't know that they needed to give him an entire show. But yeah, more
well,
power to him.
it's because there's more merchandise they can sell.
I mean, I
Yep,
like Tamara Morrison.
yep. I think I think there's more Boba Fett fans than Luke.
Tamara Morrison played Aquaman's dad, didn't he?
Yeah, he's not that tall because I remember when he got casted in Once Were Warriors, they
Mm-hmm.
questioned his stature because he's not a big man.
Um,
And Once Were Warriors and Jake the Musk is supposed to be like Jake the Musk is supposed to be pretty big.
Darren said the Book of Boba Fett is a spin-off. And yeah, I think we get that, especially with him having Fennec Shen with him.
Yeah. So I think yeah, he was well they have to have somebody Polynesian to explain why Aquaman is Polynesian. I mean Namor.
Don't get me started on Aquaman.
Oh, you should hear. I mean, look. Like I said, Bert is
Well,
big
I'm sure,
fans
yeah,
of
I know Bert,
Aquaman.
but Bert's like a hardcore Aquaman fan. I'm not
Yeah,
a hardcore Aquaman fan, but
he
they,
refuses to call him Aquaman.
I usually call him Dude Bro Aquaman.
Yeah,
But yeah, don't get me started. Um,
Aquaman. Yeah, I thought what's his face? What you call what is the brother's name? Character name?
Brother's character. Which
Yeah, Aquaman's brother.
oh
Um,
yeah, I know you're talking about Ocean Master, but
Ocean Master would have been a great Aquaman.
yeah, if you're going for the traditional Aquaman, he would have been a better Aquaman for sure.
Yeah, he would have been hell of a good Aquaman look.
But they obviously weren't going for that traditional Aquaman.
Well, they got Jason Momoa. I mean, if you're gonna get handsome Momoa, I guess you got to put him somewhere. Jason Momoa as Batman.
I may have to do a wash a couple times, but I just want to get Joe a little darker.
I thought Momoa would have played a great Lobo.
Yeah, I mean visually maybe, but I just don't think Momoa is that great of an actor.
Well, yeah, of course not. He would make a good visually. He would make a great Lobo. They should have put him as Lobo.
They had a Lobo in the Krypton show. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
It was
How was that guy?
it was horrible. It's
How was that bad?
the cosplay Lobo, and not a very good cosplay Lobo.
Oh, I bet Myron was upset about that. He's a Lobo fan.
Helps give a little more tone to the skin. Doesn't look so pale.
I don't know if I put, but Wonder Woman. I still like the first one better.
Well, I think I like the first one better too.
On where it rates in the DCU, I don't know. Um,
Well, like despite all the
Mickey
misgivings I had,
Rourke would make a
I
good
do like it
Lobo.
better than like BBS.
Yes, I don't know. I think it rates down there in the recent movies. It's not as bad as Suicide Squad. Mickey Rourke would make a good Lobo. That's what Nobu said.
Mickey Rourke, 90s Mickey Rourke maybe, but not current Mickey Rourke.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I can see Mickey Rourke as Lobo, not these days. I'll be going in with the black pen and knocking out highlights. Stuff. I'm trying to do the coloring with watercolors. Get a little looser.
90s Mickey Rourke is the only Mickey Rourke.
Well, I mean, like his Whiplash and Iron Man was. It wasn't Whiplash in the comic, but it was an interesting character. I thought he was fun as that. You know,
I agree.
I want my bird. Bird. How do you say
I
it? Bird.
want my bird.
It's like bread with it. Bread. Bird. I want my bird. So, like I said, I mean, it wasn't the comic Whiplash, but
If you could make God bleed, people won't believe in, and there will be sharks in the waters. I don't know. I don't know where I would put it. Suicide Squad has got to be the worst of recent times. Um,
I put it kind of on par with Birds of Prey.
yeah, it was. Yeah, I see that. If you count Green Lantern is below Suicide Squad. If we're going from worst of recent times, uh,
That's a tough. You think I don't because there were parts of Green Lantern that I thought were okay.
yeah, but if they actually made it, if it wasn't, they didn't change the rating and cut all the good stuff. I think it would have been a way better movie.
It's like the guy they had playing Sinestro. That was an excellent casting. Uh,
True. I think. I don't know. I guess Suicide Squad is pretty bad. It is. It's pretty bad.
yeah, that's just a tough call for me between
Um.
because there wasn't
Okay.
much
Is it higher than Batman v Superman?
there wasn't much redeeming for Suicide Squad to me. And I know some people like it, but
So Wonder
Uh,
Woman is better than Batman v Superman.
yes.
Okay, so that would be my third. Actually, that was my third worst film of DC, the current DCU. Um,
Got to wait for
uh,
Tracy to show up. Tracy wanted to talk about Soul, but
um, I think I would put after that. Oh, that's a hard call. I would put Justice League after that. Well, I haven't seen the Snyder cut, so
well, nobody's seen the Snyder Cut apparently.
okay. Current Justice League, I would put right above Batman v Superman, and then Birds of Prey, the whatever, the Emancipation of Harley Quinn, whatever, and then Wonder Woman probably. No, I don't know. I think I put Superman before all of that in the word. The current, the last Superman.
Man of Steel. There was only one Superman.
Yeah, Man of Steel. I, yeah, those three are a hard toss up. And then I would put, I don't know. I guess it would be. See, here's the last three. There's Aquaman. I would put Aquaman below the other two. But then there's Shazam and Wonder Woman, the first Wonder Woman. And they're told two different types of movies. I liked Shazam.
Yeah, I like Shazam also.
And it actually followed like a congruent script, and it didn't have a breaking point, which I thought was a different movie. It went so I think I would put Shazam over Wonder Woman.
Yeah, I would. Over the wait over the first Wonder Woman or this.
Well, the last Wonder Woman, the first one.
Uh,
Although the first part was a really good. It's that last part that brings Wonder Woman down.
yeah, that's why I would agree with you. I think. I mean, if it was the first two acts of Wonder Woman
Yeah,
was better than
yeah.
Shazam.
If it was first two acts, that would have been, you know. And no matter what, um, the Nolan Batmans will always be top, no matter what. Even the third one wasn't that great. It would be number two, number one, and number three. That order. And I think number two got it because of the what you call.
Donovan's here. Donovan, we're talking about Wonder Woman and Soul. You watch either one of those?
No, but my sister did.
Okay. It doesn't help.
I also had a friend who watched it.
Oh yeah, well,
He loves 80s stuff.
well, I mean,
However, he did not like this movie.
Well, are you going to watch it? Because we don't want to. If you haven't watched it, you might want to go watch it because we're spoiling stuff.
That's okay. I'm probably not going to watch it.
why? It's right up your alley, man.
Yeah, the reason I think you should watch it because it's an '80s movie.
Well, no, okay, so I say that you should watch it because you like over the top 80s. And it has everything that a cliched 80s genre would have. You know, down to attire, down to like people in the mall, down to like freaking songs and, stuff that doesn't even fall in 1984. It's just a cliched, over the top 80s mess. As a something that is taking place in the 80s, as opposed to like something that actually took place in the 80s, like Back to the Future. You know, it, yeah, it was kind of just over the top cliche 80s. Yeah, but it falls in the line of comics because comics is over the top. So I mean, there's any kind of like just the clothes alone. I mean, everything from red, white, and blue star flag T-shirts to fanny packs to Miami Vice, which is not even of that year. Miami Vice clothes, you know, a lot of Duran Duran looking, Michael Jackson Thriller, spiky haired punk. All it was missing is the single white glove or the lace gloves without the fingers and the rubber band bracelets. That's all. Oh, and the slap bracelet. That's the only thing it was missing. Every cliche was there
Slap.
in the book.
Jeez.
Huh?
Slap bracelet. I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah, yeah. And then the other one would be tie dye T-shirts and airbrush T-shirts and jeans. That would have been the other one. It was just a '80s mess.
That's why you think you should check it out, Don. It
Well,
is.
no, because his thing is if you if you want an idea of because he's always asking about stuff about the '80s. If you want an over the top, oh yeah, that's '80s, but it's like cliche '80s, go watch the movie because it has everything that you would call '80s to the cliche people, which is what a lot of people scream if you're going for that genre. There's even a guy that kind of looks like Ronald Reagan as the president.
You look like a cross between Ronald Reagan and Bush.
Yeah, he did. Well, it's not like that video game. The video game actually has Ronald Reagan. What was that video game that just came out? It's like freaking, it's Ronald Reagan, dude. And he talks and everything. That's why I mean that he should go watch it. Not because it's Wonder Woman, not because it's just like 80s orgy. Which I feel like Donovan, he likes that kind of 80s thing, over the top 80s. But like I said, if it handled it like a movie of its genre, at like how it's supposed to be treated, like Back to the Future or Pretty in Pink or um, 16 Candles. They were outrageously 80s, but they didn't go over the top. You know what I mean? Because it was the trend at the time, what was trendy at that time. So I think watching those movies is so much better than the cliche. But if you're going for cliche, yeah, definitely Wonder Woman. Hmm. I guess like the opposite would be like if you were taking the 90s and putting it all into a film like Ready Player One. Yeah.
Actually, Ready Player One, I think, was '80s too,
Well,
or
it's a combination.
mishmash of different
It's
eras.
70s, 80s, and 90s,
Yeah, yeah.
and part of the 2000s.
It was a mishmash of different decades.
Yeah, but see, that's what I mean. But it's the whole. But they were going for the nostalgic, and that's all the imagery and stuff was over the top, and that's because they're fanboys and fangirls of that genre, like putting millennials with um, with like today we have people dressed in Millennium Falcon T-shirts and Back to the Future stuff. Like no different.
Mhm.
It's like in the '90s. Like in the '90s, Generation X had Bob Marley, and we dressed nothing but Bob Marley, and we listened to Bob Marley all the time. You know, and we had like Nirvana. You know, yeah. All I'm saying is that I think it fits your demographic because you want everybody to recognize that your character is in this futuristic where '80s never died and always has always been like that. So I mean, sometimes going over the top is what you need to do.
Can't argue with you there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one thing I do give the '80s had good ballads, love songs. They had good love songs. I think in the 2000s, uh, 2010s to the mostly the 2010s, and now in the 2020s, what we're missing is a good ballad, a love song. I think the '80s and the early '90s really had really good love songs. I think it's just the genre of the time.
To be honest, I'm kind of surprised hearing that from you.
Why? I love love songs. I'm very eclectic. I listen to anything.
Hmm, yeah.
Hey, I listen to everything that go back to the 1930s, man. I listen to country music too. '80s had what I think about. They had pretty good pop because that's where a lot of the pop came from. They had good heavy metal, especially towards the end of the '80s. Um, yeah, resurgent of hard rock and metal. Um, They had a good early punk run. Um, yeah, it wasn't since the 19, I would say 1950s to early 1960s that there wasn't a good pop song market like it was in the 80s. And it spilled over to the early 90s with like New Kids on the Block and boy bands, which they didn't have since the 1970s. I think the 1970s had, I hate to say it, might have had better music in certain genres, like especially your what you consider disco, Earth, Wind, and Fire, where they actually played their own instruments in the early 80s. Yeah, like Cool in the Gang.
Well, for my comic social media, I have a Spotify.
I think 80s rap is really, really good because that's where it started. Actually, it started in the late 70s and into the early 80s. You had the surge of rap. I think hip hop as a genre got really good in the 90s, especially towards the late 90s, where it also died with Biggie Smalls and Tupac.
Well, I this is mostly because I already had a Spotify that I paid for premium, but for my comic social medias, one of my social media is a Spotify. So far, I have two playlists for two of my characters. Basically, the playlist is for Jenny, who has a sort of 80s pop playlist, and her husband David, who has more of a classic rock slash glam metal type playlist.
Glam rock. We're not gonna take it.
Yep, that song is on there too. Of course, it's funny because in the context of the comic, Jenny is supposed to be the more outgoing of the two.
We're not gonna take it. D. Snyder, very smart guy. Fought against Tipper Gore, the right to censor kind of thing. Had one of the best arguments ever. Very intellectual. And who would have thought? Never judge a book by its cover.
All right, what are we talking about?
So right now I'm working on the continuation of that comic that I've been doing for the longest time.
Okay, well, that's not what we're really talking about tonight, but what do you want to say?
Just that now I'm basically like focusing on the family at the dinner table, just sort of their conversations and what goes on.
Mhm. Okay.
I think I spawned too many cows.
What?
Oh, I'm playing Minecraft,
Oh,
and I have a farm of cows, and in the cow pen, there's too many cows. I
okay.
can't. It's kind of crazy how many cows there are.
So where do you think they go with Wonder Woman from here?
Well, if they go continue with the timeline, eventually she's gonna what break into New 52. Uh,
DC's. I don't know that they have a timeline anymore. I think all the movies are going to be kind of standalone. So just think of Wonder Woman by herself. I don't.
yeah, it's kind of weird when she was in hiding all this time, but yet she's like parading around, and nobody's not supposed to know about her. Yeah.
DC, yeah, DC's blowing up their own continuity. So I don't even. I don't even think about a continuity like an MCU style universe anymore.
Really? So what do you think about Jim Lee leaving?
Um, I didn't know he was leaving.
He left.
I knew there was a shakeup, but I didn't know that Jim Lee was part of it.
Yeah, he left. Quit.
Well, he's been there for what 20 years, right, or more. I'm fine with that.
What you think? What you think you're gonna do now? Actually, he doesn't even have to really work. He has like so much money. Work whenever he wants.
I think I think this would be a time for him to like do something he wants to do. You know, he's been working for Marvel or DC for his whole career, well, in Image,
Hmm.
but I think you know, maybe he'll go back to like Wildcats or you know,
But he sold his properties to them.
but that's what I'm thinking is you know he'll do some creator owned project
Uh,
would be my guess. One where he doesn't have to worry about deadlines, working at his own pace. It's not like he needs the money.
yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, he can go on Twitch and make $1,000 easy. Draw something for like 3 hours and then sell it for a grand.
I think I tell you what, if they do want to you know keep some kind of continuity, I think Shazam and Wonder Woman would be a good pairing.
Hmm. I, I really wanted to see a Flash movie. I want to see this dorky Flash and how they want to. I'm curious. I'm curious with dorky Flash.
I think you'll still get a Flash movie eventually. Now, whether or not it'll be Ezra Miller or what that's his name, right? Ezra.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll be him by then, but
Hmm.
I think the success of the Flash TV show made that character a viable cinematic character. You know?
Well, I mean, he has a better chance than Hawkman and some of the other DC characters.
Well, if the Black Adam movie takes shape like they're saying, I think a lot
Uh,
of those characters will be backdoored into that.
True.
Weren't they? Weren't they? I mean, Hawkman was one of the ones rumored for that movie, wasn't he?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, they got The Rock. They better not freaking mess it up.
Well, and The Rock's a producer too, so he's got a vested interest in it. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a safer bet. Got that edge a bit. Let me let these dry, and then I'll come back in with the pen and add my outlines.
Yeah, I like Shazam. Shazam was a good movie. My father didn't like Shazam. Said it was too like kiddie. But
I'm
that's what
gonna
I like about it.
pull up a reference for 22 so I can soul, another soul. Have you seen any of the ads and stuff for Soul, Reed?
Yep.
So you know, like the characters, what they look like.
Yep.
It's funny when you. I'm thinking in the pre-time when you get the souls that haven't gone to Earth yet.
Yep.
That's where you meet 22. They get the big heads and the little bodies, and I'm just wondering if it was a stylized version of sperm. Because
Oh,
you have like the head and then the tail. Because the bodies are like way smaller in comparison to the head.
that would be funny.
You can try and get the coloring on this. It's all very soft coloring on the characters.
Hmm.
So, blue, green, purple, and it's all kind of a gradient blend. You get a bunch of water pooled up so I can make a mix. On this side. And on that side. There. You can't see what I'm doing. I'm mixing up a wash right now, so I have plenty to load up on.
Hmm.
This is one area where watercolor beats markers any time. You got to do these like colors that just kind of blend into each other.
Yes. No, I get you, man. I like watercolor.
I enjoy working with markers, but they have their limitations.
Watercolor is cheaper too.
That's for sure.
so I guess I'm heading out.
All right. Take care.
Yeah.
That dry. Sorry about hitting the lights there, folks. It's just me and you now, Reed, right?
Yep.
You're watching, you're listening to me and you. All right, so what do you want to talk about, Reed?
I don't know.
The Mandalorian.
Are you happy that we don't have to listen to Christmas music anymore?
Um, yeah, I guess. I mean, not that I listen to that much of it.
Did you get your wife anything?
Um, no, I don't buy gifts for Christmas.
Uh, oh, what do you think of this new Batman?
All I've seen is teases. Why?
Huh?
I've only seen teases.
Yeah, well, what you think? But I mean, you think Edward Cullen will pull it off?
Yeah, I mean, I got no problem with the actor.
Mr. Twilight, Shiny Vampire,
Yeah, but he's done a lot more since then.
Harry Potter. Yeah, I know.
He's got a lot of independent movies under his belt too. He's a good actor.
Yeah,
I'm not worried about that. I'm just not sure where they're taking the character.
Year two Batman seems like it.
Is that?
Year two Batman.
Year two.
Yeah, like the year one, whatever they call that genre after year one. I was never really a DC fan.
Batman Year One wasn't. I remember Year One wasn't bad.
Yeah, year one was good. I
I don't,
liked year one.
I don't know if I read Year Two. I don't recall Year Two.
Where's Scott when you need him? There's a little bastard. Being shot by skeletons.
In Minecraft, you're getting shot by a skeleton.
Yep. There's skeletons in Minecraft. I'm in the netherworld. Oh, you little punk. Yeah. I have a strong bow. I'm wondering when they're gonna bring in like Nightwing and stuff.
Leaving him on TV for now, huh?
Will they have them on TV?
on Titans.
Oh, they do? I thought he was Robin.
They have both, don't they?
Oh, I don't know. I don't have HBO Max. Mhm. So Tracy posted something about making a anime, whatever manga or whatever, something, right?
Uh, I'm probably a manga. I think she was born to write a story.
Oh, oh, yeah. Ah, oh.
Kind of jacked up the E's. I started making a Y, and then I realized, oh, it's supposed to be E.
Mhm.
Kind of jacked up my E. Just trying to figure out if there's a way I can fix it without messing it up more.
Hmm.
I better just leave it alone because I think anything I do to fix it's probably going to make it worse.
Sometimes it's like that. I messed up a lot of my stuff trying to fix stuff. I realize it's not even worth fixing.
Yeah. Because it's on the blue background, that's what makes it hard. Because I don't know anything I do to patch it. I think I'm not going to be able to match up the color again. Use the shadows a bit deeper. How's school going?
Mm, on break.
It's good, right?
Yeah. Good that I'm on break is. How do I get off this thing? Are you guys off? Are you guys? Your office is shut down, right?
I go to work tomorrow.
Oh, you go to work tomorrow?
Yep. Only if I want to get paid.
Yeah, but you guys are not full, right? Time still. I mean,
Well, we
yeah,
telecommunicate the other day.
yeah. So you're not.
But tomorrow's my in-office day.
Uh, you guys have any work?
Yeah, I got a couple projects.
Couple projects.
That's the weird thing is like because it's a two-person shop. And you have to do a pass down each day, so the next person coming in the next day knows what they're getting. So I got my pass down for Monday already. When do you go back to work or in school?
Right. First full week. So the fourth, I guess. But I don't really go back to work because I'm never really in work. 'Cause, I'm distance, right?
Right.
The whole distance thing. Oh, I hope one day we can go back to, the kids and seeing them. Without all of us getting possibly sick. It's like that Michael guy.
Michael, yeah.
Well, yeah, on Comic Jam wants to do like cards.
Oh, Haraba.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not sure what he's looking for though.
I guess he wants to trade them.
It's just within the group, right? I understand. Karen?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Well, that's my thoughts at least. My breath down. I guess I'll draw something. They're not hard to do.
They're only hard in the sense that you're limited on space.
True.
I mean, I do bookmarks and all those kind of stuff. It's the same kind of issue. You don't have.
Yeah. Well, at least you don't have to draw big, be all detailed. It's one of the good things about it. You can be like Mike. I wanna be like Mike. Burn, chicken, burn.
Trap that's red.
There's a lot of fireworks in your neighborhood.
Um, Not today, but over the holiday, sure. Enough to freak the dog out.
How's your yard doing?
Taking a break.
Taking a break? Find anything cool on Craigslist?
Keep my eye open, but through the holidays, trying not to spend much money, you know.
Yeah. Do you play any instruments?
Not well, no.
What did you learn how to play?
I can I do some picking on a guitar, but nothing nothing I want to display.
Oh, that's better than most people.
I mean, I took it in junior high and haven't really messed with it since, but not much anyway.
Play any sports in high school?
I was track and track and cross country.
Oh yeah. What was your specialty?
And what?
Track and field?
That's a distance thing.
Oh, so you're a long distance runner. So did you always wanted to join the military?
Nope.
Just just a decision.
Wanted to be an artist. There weren't many options where I lived.
So did you always draw?
Pretty much.
What, you used to draw like your comic book stuff?
Yeah. Reed, I'm gonna kill the stream,
Okay.
but I'll still be here. Okay,
Okay.
so for those of you, if anybody's still watching, because the conversation's kind of dying as far as the movie, so I don't want to, people come here for people coming here for Soul or Wonder Woman will be disappointed. So say goodbye. Here's where I show you the drawings we did. Soul and Wonder Woman. Another Soul piece here. And, thanks for watching. Anybody that came by. Okay. Aloha.
Later.